Okay, let's talk about how we graph linear equations. So we're talking about a linear equation in two variables. A linear equation is a relationship between two variables. A lot of times we use x and y for those two variables, unless it's an applied problem, whose graph appears to be a line. So we're talking about straight lines right now. The standard form of a linear equation would be ax plus by equals c. And we're going to learn two other equations later on, but this is the standard form. So x and y are variables. A and b are real numbers. So we're not talking about imaginary numbers here. And a and b cannot both be 0. Right, are not both 0. Because if they're both 0, then you would have 0 equals c, some other number, and that's not an equation of a line. So only one of them can be 0, not both. Okay, so ways to graph a linear equation. The first way that we're going to learn is by completing a table. And this is not the most efficient way. There's some easier ways we're going to learn later on, but it's an important method to learn in terms of looking at the data and making a table and then drawing that. So you can graph any equation, doesn't have to just be a straight line, using a table of values. In order to graph a line, you have to have at least 2 points. Any 2 points make a straight line. You can pick more if you want, but you only need 2 points to graph a straight line. For any given linear equation, there are an infinite number of solutions. So a line goes on forever in both directions. So you can find any point, an infinite number of points, that's a solution on that line. But you only need to find 2. This line represents our equation, so it's a visual representation of the equation that we have. Any point on the line is a solution to the equation. So if I plugged in any point on the line into the equation, I would get a true statement. Okay, so let's use this information of ways to graph a linear equation to do example 1, and we're going to complete this table of values for y equals 2x minus 5, and then we're going to graph it. So I have the table set up. We have the equation 2x minus 5. I'm just going to pick values for x, and even though we only need 2, I usually pick 3 just to be careful. And I like to pick a negative, so I'm going to pick -1, and then I'm going to pick 0 and 1. So just 2 pretty easy numbers. So when I pick -1 for x, I'm going to go into my equation, and where I see an x, I'm going to plug in -1, and I'm going to solve for y. So I'm just plugging in -1 for y, and you need to solve. This is -2 minus 5, which gives me a y value of -7. So just be careful with your signs. So this is the coordinate pair. X is -1, y is -7. Let's do the same thing for 0. Plug in 0 for x and solve for y. 2 times 0 is 0. 0 minus 5 is -5. Again, just be careful of your signs. 0 minus a 5 is a -5. So this is the point. X is 0, y is -5. Go ahead and pause and plug in 1 for x and see what you get for y. So when you plugged in 1, you should have 2 minus 5, which is a -3, so this gives you the point 1, -3. Okay, so we want to graph this. This can be a really rough graph here. I'm going to count by ones. Make sure somewhere you label what you're counting by. Okay, just so everybody knows, are you counting by ones, are you counting by twos? And I need to go 6, 7. It's my smallest y value, and then I think I'm okay with my x values. So we're going to plot this, and mine's not going to be as neat as yours if you have grid paper. So I'm going to plot the point -1, -7, as best I can, 0, -5, and 1, -3. Okay, and then I'm going to draw a line through these 3 points, okay, like this. I'm going to extend it. Just go to there. Okay. And then make sure you put arrows on the end of this line. So there is the graph of y equals 2x minus 5. Our slope is a positive 2, so our line should be going up, which it is. So example 2 says the same thing. Graph the equation y equals negative 1 half x plus 4. So go ahead, pause this, create a table of values, and graph it, and then you can come back and check